communicating with an LA County helicopter here to get them over here to help out, but we're continuing south. You can see how fast we're going through traffic here, just passing people.
Oh, goodness,
just kind of weaving right there, as you can see. Oh, man, that's the problem when they go on too fast. These guys start out driving their talent, and they get that little move going where they're going between going through the traffic, and then they weave around, and they lose the back end of that vehicle, and it starts weaving on them. And we're continuing on here as we're continuing here southbound, approaching the Rio Hondo River as we continue down here into Downey area, and we're passing the Rio Hondo River now, guys. Passing Rio Hondo River.
And Tim, do we have a police behind him? Do we have some black and whites behind him at this pace, or is this just being tracked right now? Oh, there they are.
There's the undercover.
I see.
They're back there trying to keep up with it. And what I'm doing, I'm being asked by the LA City and also county helicopters where we're at. So we're the only one on this right now, keeping track of it. The undercover car is doing everything he can to stay up with this guy, and we're going to get the air units in here. Once you get the lights on from the air unit, that's going to help that guy on the ground. And as we continue here, we're coming up the Paramount here. Man, I can't believe he's keeping control of this car at the speeds he's running as we continue south on the 5 freeway, coming up to Paramount. And as we come down here, actually Lakewood Rosemead is one we're coming up on, and he just flying, man. And it looks like he might have blacked out there for a second, but as we continue here, now we're through Paramount Rosemead, and the next here will be the 605 freeway as we work our way down here, continuing on excess of 100 miles an hour here, using all lanes as we work our way along. It'll be a 605 interchange coming up here in a second. TV5 is approaching 605 at 1200 South 5. And as we continue on here, just using all lanes, and like I said, I'm trying to coordinate with the LA County at 21 TV5. We're just coming up on the 605 here. It looks like we might be taking south 605. Stand by, and he weaved out, and we're committed south 5 through the 605. And negative, no police ships overhead, just 2 undercovers following.
And you hear Tim Lynn discussing the situation with law enforcement. As he mentioned a moment ago, Sky 5, the only helicopter over this pursuit at the moment, that law enforcement trying to catch up, essentially. What we have is undercover LAPD pursuing what's being described as an armed suspect in a red Mustang, as Tim's been reporting, north of 100 miles an hour southbound on the 5 freeway. This originated, best we know at this point, in the Boyle Heights, East Los Angeles area, and the pursuit continues.
It's going to be a crash up here because it's going to... I'm sorry, Mike, I'm trying to listen to the helicopters behind me coming in. We're coming into an area of the 5 freeway that's construction, and it's going to make a little weave up here. And if he's at this speed, it's going to be tough for him to make that move. I mean, even at freeway speeds, it is tough to stay on that turn. But we'll see what happens when he gets down here. It's coming up here now as he weaves over to the right shoulder, passing traffic, coming down into the Orange County area here. We'll be in Orange County here in another couple ramps. But it looks like he's slowing down. Oh, he's on the brakes, getting off. Looks like, off the freeway, getting off the freeway.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here for the 11 o'clock hour of the KTLA 5 News. We are here on breaking news right now. The high-speed police chase now in Downey, just getting off of the southbound 5 freeway and making its way through surface streets. It literally just got off the freeway if you're just joining us. It was going north of, as Mike had mentioned just a moment ago, and Tim has clocked in his helicopter north of 100 miles per hour. There you see the red Mustang on the road, just crossing that intersection there. And we were seeing him weave in and out on the freeway, and it's almost hitting several cars at a very high speed. But now it seems like he seems to think that maybe nobody's on him right now.
Yeah, I still got him. He's West Imperial, about
West
2
Imperial
blocks
Highway.
west of the freeway.
Yeah, west of the 5 freeway, westbound on Imperial Highway is what we're hearing. And this.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Micah, you guys stay with it. We're going to try to put the PD ship on it here.
You got it. So what you're seeing now in real time is the coordination that exists on a daily basis between media helicopters and law enforcement in situations like this. We happened to get over this before law enforcement, and Tim is essentially guiding law enforcement airships in to join this pursuit. What we had initially was undercover LAPD officers in pursuit of this armed suspect. We believe they are still behind him. They were requesting additional units and help from LA County Sheriff's Department. Had it stayed on the freeway, obviously CHP likely would have moved in, but at this point LAPD remains the lead agency in this pursuit. Again, an armed suspect. This Mustang was going for the majority of this pursuit of the last 15 minutes. We've been seeing it 10 minutes maybe, over 100 miles an hour southbound on the 5 out of East LA.
A very precarious situation for a lot of those drivers on the freeway who couldn't see this coming their way when he was driving that fast. He's still at a very high rate of speed here in the Norwalk area on surface streets. We do understand that there is a undercover a car that is following, detectives following him, not at the moment any black and whites, and as we got to this pursuit, Tim being the only helicopter over it right now, trying to get law enforcement to track him as well. He's just got a passenger that bailed right there.
Yep. Yep, at least, so we've got the driver, we've got at least one passenger who, as you just mentioned, foot bailed, and you can see him running there, but I'm not sure law enforcement is up there close enough to be able to make a play on that accomplice. But you've got the driver now, who is obviously the target for law enforcement, the primary target. And with the media helicopters overhead, we will likely be able to at least keep an eye, or somewhat of an eye, on that person that jumped out. But the undercover officers have not seen them make that U-turn, Share. It was westbound Imperial, so now presumably eastbound Imperial, about to make a turn southbound. Can't get the street here. Tim, if you're with us, you can guide us on the location of this, or are you still busy?
He's on Studebaker now, southbound from Firestone. The sheriff's helicopter just got overhead. We had to direct him in on it. So now we got law enforcement aviation over the head. And they're now southbound Studebaker here from Firestone. So as we continue on here, he now has law enforcement with him. No ground units are here. So now this helicopter will be able to notify the agencies around, and also the different departments as we're going through here where this guy's at. Now there's no ground units on him, and so this helicopter, the sheriff's helicopter that's overhead now, is going to go ahead and take charge of it and get everybody in. So good for them. He outran everybody on the ground and got down here, tried to just kind of drive slow and blend in, but we were here to be able to direct those media, or the PD helicopters in. So here we go, still southbound Studebaker, and we'll see what the next intersection is he's coming up on. Coming up on Rosecrans here.
I'm assuming you saw the passenger jump out of the car. I just want to get that in.
I did not. I was doing whatever I could to keep an eye on the car and then keep an eye on the helicopters coming in. So
okay, so
as we make it a turn here, so
it was at that U-turn on Imperial where the passenger jumped out. Just before the Mustang made the U-turn on Imperial, you had a passenger jump out, and essentially what you're seeing here is what we have now, what we believe to be just a driver in this car at this point, described as armed. Yeah. Tim, do we know what the one is?
This, all we know is it was undercover or unmarked vehicles from LAPD got in behind it. They said it was armed. Oh, man, almost got that car right there. It was an armed suspect in the car, high rate of speed. They were trying to get black and whites to get behind it, but apparently he saw them behind him and took off up there on Cesar Chavez and got on the 710, took Cesar Chavez all the way across to East LA, got on that southbound 710, and you saw it as we picked it up here, turning south on the 5 freeway. So right now it's an armed suspect only that we know right now, and I don't know if there's wants on the vehicle itself, but right now he's got a laundry list of charges against him. Now you see the speed is picking back up as the LA Sheriff's helicopter here is calling the pursuit as we work our way back westbound here, and we're coming into, let's see, we'll get the intersections here as we come through. Next intersection, he's coming up on our green. Luckily, he's going to blast right through that, and that's Bellflower. He just went through. Now he's going to get into a tighter area here. as we continue here on, I believe it's Rosecrans that we're on, through Bellflower. Very high rate of speed. It's going to make a little right or left-hand turn here, and we're going to get down into some more traffic ahead of him here as cross traffic, and that's the dangerous part of this, is when he's going these speeds on the surface streets and then making these turns around here and then coming through the intersections, but coming up here on the turn and turning back to the north is Columbia Street is we're on now. And there's just happens to be some black and whites there on a traffic stop on Columbia. Now he's made it back into the res track here and working his way around now. Van Root is the street he's on now in this little residential area. I think he saw those black and whites and decided he didn't want to get anywhere near them. And now in the neighborhood, making another left-hand turn here. And I'm trying to listen to the L.A. Sheriff's helicopter make the call. But you see him fishtailing as he goes around those corners. I mean, he's really staying with his car. So eventually the brakes and the tires are going to start getting overheated on this, and he's going to start losing traction and losing braking power. And he's on Shermaine coming up to Foster here. And we'll see what he does when he gets to this intersection on the brakes, making the right turn back eastbound. And that's Foster. This will take him back over here, I believe, to Washington is the street. I'm looking ahead here, but we'll keep an eye on it here and let the sheriffs make the call on it. But right now we have two helicopters now, one from LAPD and one from LA Sheriffs over this. And now we're continuing on here back to the north.
Making his way through Bellflower right now. As you saw, they're going through a residential neighborhood, which probably could have given him that opportunity to foot bail, but now still making his way through the surface streets and kind of, in a sense, going into a big, large circle in a way. Yeah. Trying to evade police, which clearly is not going to happen now that we've got a sheriff's helicopter and the night sun over him.
On Bellflower, going north. Yeah, north. Coming up north on Bellflower through that intersection, just blasted through, and this is taking us back up towards the 5 freeway. And so he's just going to work his way through traffic here. It's getting kind of tight. He's going to have to force his way through. Okay, here comes a black and white unit behind it, finally catching up. The first marked black and white we have with overhead, and continue on here as he northbound on Bellflower. And hold on one second. I need to let the air units know. You said that was Imperial and Rosecrans where the person got out. We made the U-turn?
Yeah, can't say for sure that it was Rosecrans. It was about a mile west of the 5 freeway on Imperial. That may have been Rosecrans as he made the U-turn. That's where the passenger bailed. We'll have video of that momentarily that we'll put up and show you. But again, this suspect, what we know at this point is he is armed. We do not know what the want is. Authorities have been pursuing this suspect out of the Boyle Heights, East Los Angeles area, southbound on the 5 freeway. This happened maybe, 15, 20 minutes ago. It started high rates of speed on the freeway, all the way down the 5 south, down into the Downey area, where the suspect got off the freeway on Imperial Highway, had been driving north of 100 miles an hour for much of that run south on the 5. And he has at this point been doing a dance on surface streets, driving erratically, as you see, blowing through stop signs, blowing through red lights. As far as we know, the driver, the only person in this car. But again, the want, we still do not know. But the long list of charges continues to grow for this suspect in this red Mustang.
Yes, and as Micah mentioned, we were going to get that video for you of the passenger foot bailing from that car. This on Imperial Highway, about a mile from the southbound 5 freeway. There you see the suspect running out over to the corner, and then you'll see the passenger rather run across the street of that intersection as well. So unclear to tell if it's a man or a woman just because it's dark. Then he made that U-turn there with no undercover detective car behind him. It was shortly after that he made that U-turn that Sky 5 and Tim Lynn was able to direct the sheriff's helicopter and put the night sun onto this red Mustang that we've been watching in this pursuit for about 15 minutes now out of Boyle Heights. But again, there on screen right, you see a passenger foot bail from the car. And shortly after this, Micah, we saw some items being thrown out of the car as well. It was unclear what was being thrown out, but it seemed like he was throwing some things, trying to get rid of whatever might be in there that could possibly get him into further trouble.
A loose description of that passenger, a thin male with blue jeans and white tennis shoes and some sort of a red windbreaker and a hat. That's the description. That's what we see from our helicopter as we showed you the video. But the chase continues both from the air and from the ground. You have a black and white behind this, what's being described as an armed suspect in this Mustang that has been going on surface streets now for the last 10 minutes or so and blacking out the lights at times as well. Obviously not what you want to see, particularly on surface streets. Driving the way this person is driving late at night or any time, frankly, after sundown is a high level of danger for pedestrians, for cross traffic. Tim, it seems as though this driver's sort of going in a circle here, as though he's familiar with the area. Yeah,
it kind of looks that way. He's the first time we've seen him get into a residential track and start doing the circle dance here, getting in the alleys, turning off his lights. But he's got two air units over the top of him. Okay, he turned back to the wester, and like I said, he's going to run for ground. And like I said, if we can keep an eye, mark on those the tape where they dumped out all that information, all that stuff out of the car, I'll go ahead and relay that to them once this comes to an end, and they can go back and search the area because they could have thrown out weapons, and we don't want weapons laying on the street where somebody else could pick them up and harm themselves. But right now, he's just doing the circle here through the area. We're just I'm going to say west of Paramount and south of Slauson, or actually Florence. So he's just in that neighborhood here. And as we work our way around, we're in the Bell Gardens, Downey area here, just kind of working our way around. So I'm just going to kind of hold up here and just kind of watch him, because what they do is they start getting in these alleys, and he's going to bail out here just from our just watching these things. Yeah, right there. Car comes to an end. He's up under a tree. Oh, got an undercover car right behind him. That's great. And yeah, so they've been. There you go. There you go. Good job, guys. Got him in the alley here, and he's got one out there. You see laying on his stomach in the street. And we're going to get over here to the little bit to the south to try to see the driver, if that is the driver. It could very well be the driver bailed out and starting to run. But we'll just kind of keep an eye on it here until we get the code 4 from the folks on the ground here. But you see one undercover there. They were trying their best to stay up with us. The guys were doing everything they could to stay with it until they got air assets overhead, but luckily we were able to help out. And I'm listening to the sheriff's helicopter and the LAPD helicopter talking, and what they're saying is we're on that backside that was blocked by that garage, that a male got out of the driver's seat in white T-shirt and went into those apartments just to the screen right of that car, and they're kind of keeping an eye on that. So apparently, I guess the driver may have bailed out, and unless they had two people in here dressed exactly the same, I have to agree with you. You know, the description is exactly the same. We didn't see him make a stop and pick up a pedestrian anytime during this pursuit. So it's just unusual that you have people like that dressed the same. But you can see right there how he's taking him over there underneath the awning. So that's kind of hard for us to see. And we'll see right down here if he's down in this area. That's where they're concentrating their light at. And hopefully they have him. But, yeah, I'm hearing them on the air saying they have two at gunpoint, and they do have the subject in the white shirt here, 10 down.
Tim, how far are you from Imperial Highway?
I'm going to have to turn around here and look. I've been on the monitor pretty much here watching. Let me turn around and get a little bearings here for you.
Yeah, you're going to have
just south of Florence and just west of I believe it was Paramount. So, yeah, Imperial is a little further north from here. So,
just trying to piece it together. I mean, you've got the first guy they got there, and is most likely that passenger that we saw foot bail, and some sort of a coordination between the passenger and the driver, and they met up again in this alley.
Is that how? Yeah, that's probably what happened. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think we're a long ways from. That was right at the 605 freeway. Right at the 605 freeway where that passenger got out. He made that U-turn, and we're probably, I'd say, a good 2 miles from the 605 freeway to the west. So I got a feeling that 2 people with red sweatshirts in here.
So 3 total then.
Yeah, 3 total, and yeah, he definitely got out and ran, as you saw on that the video from here. But right now they got 2 here. They got the car, and that's a good thing here because we want to make sure that. I do at least want to make sure this guy stops before he hurts an innocent civilian. So we're going to try to reload this and figure out exactly where everything got dumped out, and I'll notify the sheriff's department down here to go back and check the area where you said you saw stuff come out of a window. But right now we're looking down into this apartment complex. And I'm trying to find the guy in the white shirt that they say they have in custody. But, this is a very fluid, dynamic thing. 5's going over top of 9. Or 4, and you can see right here down in the alley. I'm trying to see if they have him in the alley here, but right now I don't see it.
All right, Tim Lynn and Sky 5 will continue to track this. If there are any developments that warrant further coverage, we will bring them to you. Darren Horton with Sports Final. He's been waiting patiently.
That's right, big night in baseball.